All right, so today we're looking at a learning style that kind of turns things upside down. It's called problem-based learning.
Or PBL for short.
Right, PBL.
Yeah.
Basically, imagine if instead of textbooks and lectures, you get thrown into like a real-world scenario.
Okay.
And you have to use your knowledge to find solutions.
Interesting.
You know, it's
So you're really applying.
yeah, it's learning by doing, but like on a whole other level.
It is. It really is.
I like that.
And that's a great way to put it, actually.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Problem-based learning really is all about active learning.
Okay.
You know, you're not just sitting there passively absorbing information. You're like a detective.
I like that.
You're an innovator. You're a problem solver.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, okay, so it's not just like sitting in a classroom memorizing facts and figures.
Right.
It's about actually applying what, you know, to situations you might encounter in real life.
Exactly.
But how does that actually work?
Oh, wow.
What are the steps to become a detective?
Yeah. Well, think of it as a 7-step process.
Okay, 7 steps.
Yeah.
All right, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
So let's say you've got a problem you need to solve.
Okay.
This could be anything from designing like a sustainable city
Right.
to maybe figuring out how to prevent a disease from spreading.
Gotcha.
The first step is to clarify any terms or concepts that you might not be familiar with.
Okay.
Like, you know, before you build a house,
Oh.
you want to make sure everyone's speaking the same language.
Right, yeah, make sure you're on the same page.
Exactly.
So essentially, you can't solve a problem if you don't understand like the basic vocabulary of what you're dealing with.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so what's next?
So next you need to like clearly define the problem. You know, what are you actually trying to solve?
Right.
What are the key factors that are involved?
I see.
So this step is super important because it forces you to think critically
Okay.
and not just jump to the first solution that comes to mind.
So it's like no jumping to conclusions. You got to really understand what's at the core of the problem.
Yeah. And, you know,
Okay.
experienced PBL facilitators will often use things like virtual reality simulations
Oh, wow.
to really help deepen that problem-solving experience.
So like high tech?
Yeah.
That's very cool.
So imagine like diagnosing a virtual patient
Oh, cool.
or designing a sustainable city using like a 3D model.
Wow. So it's not just like throwing ideas around.
Right.
It's about using technology to like explore those ideas.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've brainstormed, we've thrown some ideas around, we've got all these potential solutions. What happens next?
Okay, well, next you have to kind of organize and form hypotheses.
Okay.
You've got to sift through all those ideas and pick out the most promising leads.
I see.
So you're kind of moving from that creative stage to a more analytical stage.
Okay, so you're saying it's about how do you know which ideas are even worth pursuing further?
Well, you look at the problem that you defined and all the information that you have, and you choose the ideas that seem like they're most likely to help you find a solution.
I see.
You know, so it takes critical thinking, and that's a skill
Right.
that's valuable far beyond the classroom.
Absolutely.
Once you have some solid hypotheses,
Okay.
you need to figure out what you need to learn to test them.
Okay, so you're basically creating a research plan.
Yeah,
Like what are the knowledge gaps that you need to fill
right.
in order to solve this problem?
Yeah, so that's step 5.
Okay.
Setting learning objectives.
Okay.
So this is where you identify what specific information or skills you need to acquire.
So you're essentially figuring out what you don't know, which is just as important as knowing what you do know.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Once you know what you need to learn,
Okay.
it's time to roll up your sleeves and dive into independent research.
Okay.
You become a knowledge detective,
Oh.
you know, seeking information from various sources to support those hypotheses.
So it's like you're gathering evidence. Okay, so what kind of resources are we talking about?
It could be anything, books, articles, online databases,
Okay.
even interviews with experts.
Oh, wow.
The key is to be resourceful
Yeah.
and thorough in your investigation.
So you're not just passively absorbing information.
Yeah.
You're actively seeking it out.
Right.
Okay. And then evaluating whether it's useful.
Exactly.
And then what is the final step in this whole process?
So the final step is to synthesize and present your solutions.
Okay.
This is where you bring it all together,
Right.
your research, your analysis, your creative ideas, and you present it in a clear and concise way.
Okay, so this is like the grand finale
It is.
where you get to reveal your solution.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how this PBL thing works.
Yeah.
But like, how would someone actually implement this
Right.
in a real world setting?
Well, one of the key elements of implementing PBL is to use what are called trigger materials.
Trigger materials.
Yeah.
What are those?
So these are resources that kind of spark curiosity,
Okay.
and they provide a starting point
Gotcha.
for the problem-solving process.
Okay, so give me an example. What would be a trigger material?
So it could be something like a compelling case study,
Okay.
a thought-provoking news article,
Uh-huh.
or even a simulation
Interesting.
that puts you right in the middle of the action.
So you're setting the stage
Right.
for like this big intellectual adventure.
Yeah.
And like drawing people in with a captivating hook
Exactly.
instead of just like, okay, open your textbook to page 12.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I like that. A lot more engaging.
Yeah.
So, but how do you make sure that like everyone is involved
Right.
and like contributing to this problem solving process?
Well, that's where cooperative learning comes in.
Cooperative learning. Okay, so I know PBL a lot of times involves working in groups,
It does.
right?
Yeah.
So tell me about cooperative learning.
So cooperative learning is a vital part of PBL,
Okay.
and there are a lot of benefits to this approach.
Like what?
Well, it's not just about finding the right answer.
Right.
It's about learning how to work effectively with others
Uh-huh.
to achieve a common goal.
Okay.
So it's not just about individual brilliance.
Yeah.
It's about the collective wisdom and creativity
I like that.
of the group.
So everyone brings their own unique perspective.
Exactly. And when you work with others,
Yeah.
you're exposed to different perspectives and approaches,
Mm-hmm.
which can lead to more creative and well-rounded solutions.
Okay, so you're saying that it's not just about like finding the right answer.
Right.
It's about learning how to work together,
Exactly.
which is a skill that you need,
Absolutely.
regardless of what you do in life.
It's essential for success in any field.
Okay, so what you're saying is PBL isn't just about learning a specific subject.
No.
It's about developing those core skills
Right.
that are going to benefit you,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what path you take in life.
Absolutely.
But I'm wondering about the teachers.
Yeah.
What is their role in all this?
That's a great observation.
Seems like a pretty big shift from like the traditional,
It is.
stand at the front of the classroom and lecture.
It is a big shift, yeah.
So what do teachers do in a PBL environment?
So in a PBL environment, teachers become facilitators
Okay.
rather than lecturers.
Gotcha.
So they're guiding and supporting students,
Uh-huh.
but they're not giving them all the answers.
So it's more guide on the side
Exactly.
than sage on the stage.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
But that seems like a pretty demanding role for teachers.
It can be challenging,
Yeah.
but it's also incredibly rewarding.
In what way?
Well, because they get to witness their students
Okay.
transform into these active learners,
Uh-huh.
problem solvers,
Yeah.
critical thinkers.
Gotcha.
They see them take ownership of their learning
Yeah.
and develop those skills that will serve them well beyond the classroom.
I could see how that would be rewarding.
Yeah.
I bet those are some pretty amazing aha moments. When the students figure it out
Absolutely.
and they're like, wow, I did that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'm really starting to get excited about the possibilities of PBL.
Yeah.
But I think for our listeners who might be new to this whole concept,
Okay.
it would be really helpful to hear some specific examples
Okay.
of like, what does a PBL activity actually look like?
Right.
To really showcase like what you can do with this.
Absolutely. Let's start with an example that taps into the spirit of adventure.
Ooh, adventure. I like it.
So imagine a group of students.
Okay,
They're tasked with investigating a historical sea voyage.
cool.
Okay. And they're given a problem to solve,
All right.
like figuring out the best route to sail from one point to another,
Okay,
considering things like wind patterns, ocean currents,
I see.
potential hazards.
So it's like a real life treasure hunt?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They'd have to do research, analyze maps, consider the challenges faced by sailors in the past,
Uh-huh.
and use their problem-solving skills to come up with a solution.
Wow, that sounds like a much more fun way to learn about history
It is.
than just like reading about it in a textbook.
Right. They're becoming historians.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, give me another example.
Okay, let's shift gears to urban planning.
Okay.
Imagine a group of students presented with a problem that's affecting their own community,
Like what?
like maybe traffic congestion
Okay.
or lack of green space.
Gotcha.
So their challenge is to research the issue, interview community members,
Okay.
brainstorm solutions, and ultimately present their ideas to city officials.
So they're like becoming little mini urban planners.
Exactly.
That's cool.
They're not just learning about urban planning
Yeah.
in theory.
They're actually trying to make a difference.
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of PBL.
Yeah.
It's not just about acquiring knowledge. It's about applying that knowledge
Right.
to real world situations.
Yeah. And seeing how you can have an impact. Okay. I'm loving these examples.
Yeah.
Give me another one.
Okay, how about a science-focused activity?
Okay.
Students designing habitats for zoo animals.
Ooh.
Okay, so they'd have to research the animals' natural environments,
Yeah.
consider their needs, and combine scientific knowledge
Yeah.
with design thinking
Okay.
to create a habitat that promotes animal welfare
Cool.
and visitor engagement.
So it's like they're not just memorizing facts about animals.
Right.
They're using those facts
Like
to
this.
design a solution. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great way to blend different disciplines and encourage students to think creatively and critically.
Yep.
What else you got?
Okay. For a math-themed challenge,
Right.
we could have students become code breakers.
Ooh, I like that.
So they're given a message to decrypt. They use their math skills
Okay.
to crack the code.
That sounds very cool.
Yeah, and then to take it to the next level,
Yeah.
they could even create their own codes,
Oh, wow. Putting their cryptography knowledge to the test.
like their little spy.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
What other real-world challenges could we turn into these PBL adventures?
Here's an interesting one. Imagine students stepping into the role of financial advisors.
Okay.
Okay, tasked with making decisions about community investments.
All right.
So they'd have to research different investment options, analyze potential risks and rewards, consider the long-term impact of their choices on the community.
So it's teaching them about responsible decision-making.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the impact that their choices can have
Yeah.
on others.
It's not just about money.
Right.
It's about understanding, like, that bigger picture.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what PBL is all about.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just about acquiring knowledge. It's about applying it
Right.
to real-world situations.
Okay. I think we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
We talked about what PBL is, how it works, how to implement it,
Yeah.
the benefits of cooperative learning, the role of teachers. And we even brainstormed some really cool examples.
We did.
But before we move on, I want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay.
About those 7 steps of PBL.
Right.
Can you just like quickly run through them again?
Sure.
Just to like solidify our understanding?
Yeah. It all starts with clarifying terms.
Okay.
Make sure everyone understands the vocabulary.
Uh-huh.
Then you define the problem. Really hone in on what needs to be solved.
Okay.
From there, you brainstorm creative solutions.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to think outside the box.
Okay.
Then you organize and evaluate those ideas.
Uh-huh.
Form hypotheses.
Okay.
Next, figure out what you need to learn to test those hypotheses.
Yeah.
Then it's time to dive into independent research,
Right.
gather information, and finally, you bring it all together.
Okay.
Present your solutions in a clear and compelling way.
Okay.